What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Reset Button. I am your host, as always, Davestruction, the movie-worshipping, anime-loving video game nerd. And today we're going to talk about a video game series that's near and dear to my heart. In fact, it's part of a franchise that I've loved since I was a kid, and that is the Star Wars Battlefront series. Star Wars in general I've loved as a kid, but Star Wars Battlefront I grew up as a teenager when I think the original game came out. Now, this game was released last year. It was a disappointment, okay? Pretty much the only reason I have this game is because I'm a Star Wars fan. And I got it at a really cheap price, okay? I waited for this to go down to, I think, maybe $25, because I'm sorry, I was not paying full price for this game. But more on that later. I want to talk about the original releases of the Star Wars Battlefront series. Now, there were originally 3 games in the series. There was 2 console games, and then a handheld game, I believe, for the PlayStation Portable. Now, I never played the PlayStation Portable, so I'm not going to really talk about that. But I will talk about Battlefront 1 and 2. More about 2 because that's the one I played the most of, and that's the one that I liked the most. Now, when Star Wars Battlefront came out, it was excellent. I mean, I remember playing the first game at a friend's house, and it was great. The only complaint that I had was I didn't get to play as a Jedi. Now, I understand that some people like to play as an infantryman or one of the Rebel Alliance, a stormtrooper, whatever. But I like the Jedi. That's kind of my favorite part of Star Wars, is the mystical, kind of magical thing that is the Force. And it's so cool and it's awesome. But anyway, and this was kind of really the first game that I could remember you felt like you were in a Star Wars game. Or not in a Star Wars game, but actually Star Wars universe. More so Star Wars Battlefront 2 than the first one. When Battlefront 2 came out, I got it as a Christmas gift back in 2005. Wow, that game's 12 years old. Oh, wow, I am getting old. Anyway, anywho, it was a great game. I mean, it had different classes you could pick, it had all these different modes you could play as, and it had local 4-player couch co-op on the story mission, okay, on the regular campaign, all right? You could have 4 friends play through the campaign, and that was awesome. But here was the thing. Part of that was because the campaign was pretty basic, all right? Now, the campaign that's going to be released for Star Wars Battlefront 2 is promised to be a lot more in-depth story, and that's fine, that's okay. That is a super improvement over what we got in this game, and I'll talk about that later. But anyway, Star Wars Battlefront 2, it had a mode called Galactic Conquest, which basically was a virtual board game, essentially, mixed with the actual gameplay of the game, where you can move around your ship and take different planets, and you got different tokens and cards that allowed you to do special things, such as have a reinforced garrison, enhanced blasters, or play as a hero on the battlefield at certain points, and it changed the game and could turn the tide in your favor if you played your cards right. Now, in the Battlefront release last year, we got something like that, but heroes were already in the game, and it wasn't... We didn't have a Galactic Conquest. And the modes in this game were... It was not a complete game, alright? The only reason I even have this game is because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I waited for this game to go down to really, really cheap. And when I played it, I had played it before I had actually gotten it, but I was very, very, very disappointed. And this is the Ultimate Edition that has all the DLC. So, yeah. But anyway, Star Wars Battlefront 2 it made you feel like you were in the universe. It made you feel like you were fighting the rebels, or you were the rebels, or you were the Republic fighting against the droid army, and then you could play as the droids, and it was just like, oh my gosh, you had a huge roster of heroes and villains you could play as. And it was a great game. Now, there were some stuff that was a little broken with the heroes, but the heroes weren't ever meant to be part of the main game. They were like a power-up for the player who was doing the best. It wasn't a token you just picked up, which I don't really like that system in this game right here. I think, yeah, if... I don't know, anyway. But anyway, if it came up and you were the highest scoring player at the time, then you could choose to either play as the hero, continue playing as an infantryman or a regular soldier. And you could pass it on to the next player, which I felt like it balanced that out instead of just having a random token. I don't like the random token system, is what I'm saying. But anyway, the game was great. And this isn't really a review over, it's just to kind of tell you how I felt about the series as a whole. Okay, now we've come to the part of this editorial, or whatever I want to call this type of video, where I talk about this game. Now, when this game was released, or more, when it was announced, I was excited. I was very excited because I've been waiting for a sequel to Star Wars Battlefront 2 for a long time. And so we're like, me and the rest of my friends who are Star Wars fans were just like, this is going to be great, this will be awesome. And the stuff we got shown at E3 was, it looked great. You could take your vehicle, your X-Wing, whatever, TIE fighter from space, go down to ground battle, and then back up into space. And we were so excited at the footage we got to see, and it looked good, it sounded good, everything just looked beautiful, it sounded beautiful, and then it was released. $60 for the game on release date, which is not uncommon, but it wasn't a full game. It wasn't a full game. There was no campaign. It was all pretty much multiplayer stuff and more online stuff. I mean, it's only 2-player couch co-op, or 2-player couch against each other, which, I'm sorry, you all have the technology to do 4 players on every console. This is stupid. This is getting ridiculous. And I want to see more of it. And a lot of gamers do as well. We would like to be able to sit down and play a game with our friends on our couch, which is something the originals did. There was online, it supported up to 16 player teams against 16 player teams, and you still had bots running around the screen, and it didn't lag. As far as my experience was, it didn't lag, and it was so mind-blowing. I mean, this was just, it was great. And then this game, yeah, it does support that and even more, but at the same time, it was a letdown. It felt like we got cheated out of something that we've been waiting for years, over a decade waiting for. And yeah, I talk about this on an emotional level, but it was just, it didn't feel like a Battlefront game. It felt like a Battlefield with a Star Wars skin, and it wasn't a good Battlefield with a Star Wars skin. So I have great expectations I still have great expectations for Battlefront 2 that we're getting released in November of this year, which is a little over a month from now. But EA needs to stop getting in the way of its developers. I think DICE had a great game, and because EA wanted to make a quick buck off of a franchise, they didn't really understand the fan base. They messed up and got in DICE's way. I'm hoping that's the case. Now, DICE has promised us a great campaign and basically some of the stuff that worked in the first game they're improving on, and they're bringing some other modes back, from what I understand, from the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. I really hope that they do that. And I hope that they actually fulfill their promise of being able to go from space battle to ground battle. I don't know. Let's hope. Well, guys, this is the end of the video. I'm going to leave it right here. So, this has been Davestruction, and this is the reset button. If you like the video, be sure to ignite that like button with fire! Be sure to subscribe. We love those lovely, lovely subscriptions. It does help us out. Be sure to share this video with your friends, colleagues, and family, and get them annoyed by the posting of this video. Share the crap out of it. And as always, if life is getting you down, this is not your final form. You can grab an extra life, and you can always hit the reset button.